I think we often think about AI as like a terminator, but really what I think we're seeing in the classroom, particularly with Brisk, is teachers are able to go back to more time in front of their students rather than behind a computer.
Hey everybody, I'm here with Arman Jaffer from Brisk Education. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here.
So pretend I'm like 10 years old. I'm one of your clients.
Sure.
And explain to me what Brisk does.
Yeah, so Brisk is an AI tool for teachers. Teachers spend over 20 hours a week on their computer away from their students. And so with Brisk, we try to automate that, try to speed up tasks like grading and lesson planning.
So I'm a client of Brisk. I have your tools open. It's a Chrome extension, right?
Yeah.
What magic are you doing for me?
Yeah, so imagine your students are submitting, assignments, like a writing assignment. You can open up that writing assignment, you can upload a rubric, and then get feedback on that assignment so that you can actually decide which piece of feedback you agree with and then share it with students. And so something that would normally have taken you maybe 20 minutes could be done in 2 minutes.
Wow. So everyone's worried about, are the kids using AI? Are they cheating? Are they learning?
Yeah.
You're kind of giving an AI tool for the teachers to make their lives easier too.
Yeah, exactly. But we think of it as like a way in which they can actually provide more feedback to their students. So students really appreciate it because, they might have to wait 2 to 3 weeks to get feedback or a grade. And now with Brisk, a lot of the teachers are able to give them more opportunities to improve their work before they submit.
So this AI tool for like, let's say an essay or a paper,
yeah.
It's kind of like giving the teachers like a first pass, like a summary of like what was hit on in the essay, and like, are the teachers still reading the essays? Like,
yeah. So they still have to like make sure that the feedback is applicable, but rather than writing that feedback out themselves, they can just see some potential suggestions. It's kind of like autocomplete, right? You still are very much in control, but you don't have to type it out yourself.
Do kids still hand in papers on paper, or is it all digital?
Yeah, so that's actually this like whole shift that I got to see over the last 10 years from when I was in high school, where we were still very much printing out assignments, to where we are post-pandemic, where almost every piece of student work that a student is submitting is now through the computer, through Google Docs, through Google Classroom, through Microsoft, and things like that. So post-pandemic, students, particularly in high school and middle school, are really not actually printing out things and submitting them.
What were you doing before you started Brisk?
Yeah, so
you have a cool background.
I appreciate that. So I spent 5 years at the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. I actually founded, along with another engineer at Brisk, this product called Notebooks, which was like Google Docs, except much more tailored to the classroom. And so had the chance to lead a team there at the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative for a while.
What did you do there?
So I led a product team as a product manager, basically working with a couple of engineers and designers to launch this product.
Okay, and what was like your mandate? What was like your goal? Like, want you to create a product to do what?
Yeah, so Notebooks tried to basically improve the quality of feedback that teachers gave on student work. It's a problem that I'm still working on, but pre-AI. So we actually built like Google Docs, except our own version called Notebooks. And so students would basically use this word processing tool to complete assignments, and then their teachers would kind of open up those notebooks and kind of provide grades.
Wow. And tell me about, so you're at Chan Zuckerberg, which is obviously a really exciting nonprofit, cutting edge, very well funded. Obviously you have the backing of the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative. What was the spark that said, you know what, I'm going to leave this and start my own thing?
I think one of the things that I realized over time was that education is a really there's so many facets to education, right? And one of the things that a startup provides is the ability to really start from scratch and to build something really quickly. And I think at philanthropies, which can provide a lot of resources, they often can't be as scrappy as, say, a startup. And so I think a lot of innovation kind of requires potentially a startup kind of format in order to kind of manifest. And so felt like a startup was a natural way to kind of push the bounds of what's possible.
Gotcha. So how did you get started?
Well, I quit my job. I think that was a big leap of faith that I would be able to figure it out. I actually didn't have the idea for Brisk when I quit. But I just wanted to explore different ideas. And so
you quit just to be like, I'm going to, start noodling things out. It wasn't like you had this burning idea. You're like, I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
And kind of just burn the bridge and burn the ships behind me and just come up with an idea.
Exactly. And honestly, seeing a couple of my friends who haven't quit their jobs, if you have the privilege of being able to quit your job and kind of figure it out, I think that is the best way to kind of start a startup, because you're seeing your bank account dwindle, and it creates a lot of pressure to like build conviction in an idea, which otherwise I think you can always explore ideas for a long time. And so I've definitely seen folks who have quit their jobs tend to end up finding startup ideas fast.
That's interesting. It's like you're putting all the cards on the table,
Yeah.
right? What about the idea for Brisk? Where did it come from?
Yeah, so I worked on this product called Notebooks,
Yes.
right? And so I would call it a point solution because teachers already had so many tools. Actually, the average teacher in the US uses over 140 ed tech tools or applications or websites in a given school year. And so I basically kind of conceived of this new idea, Notebooks, which was like the 141st tool that a teacher would have to use. And so through that process, just like felt like the last thing teachers needed was another tool.
Okay.
And at the same time, seeing ChatGPT pop off and there's all these applications around lesson planning and grading that were just so obvious. I was like, how do you build something that isn't a tool that can still, speed up and build coherence and streamline a teacher's workflow? And so ended up kind of building conviction in this idea of a Chrome extension because you could bring the power of AI directly to the tools that teachers are already using. And so that seemed like the natural thing because if you think about one of the things that AI is really good at, it's streamlining, it's automation, it's speeding things up. But all those tasks teachers were doing were in the tools themselves.
Okay.
So you can't really build a platform to speed up things that teachers are doing in other places. And so a Chrome extension was a natural vehicle.
Gotcha. So it kind of gave you like access to be everywhere people already are.
Yeah, to follow the teacher around, to try to be helpful when it's necessary, almost like a Clippy for teachers.
There you go. You're bringing Clippy back. I like that.
Exactly.
So you have this idea now for Brisk. Take me from, I have an idea to like, I'm hiring, I'm recruiting, I'm raising money. Like, how did that work?
Yeah, I'm really fortunate that a lot of the folks that initially joined Brisk, I had worked with at the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative.
Okay.
So that core team was pretty much the same, the data scientists I work with, the founding engineers. And so kind of had this idea, kind of raised a little bit of money just off of the idea and kind of building it myself. I had not been a software engineer for 4 or 5 years before that, but kind of relearned some of it just to build a proof of concept to raise some money. And then brought over a couple of my colleagues that I really enjoyed working with. And from there, kind of, built it out. We launched about a year ago.
Okay.
And now 1 in 10 teachers in the US is actually using Brisk.
1 in 10.
Yeah.
How do you make money?
Yeah, so we offer our tool for free to teachers because we think it's, teachers often don't have a lot of money to spend on tools. I remember like teachers when I went in high school, like they were saving to be able to throw pizza parties and things like that. Often we don't compensate our teachers enough. And so we build a really robust free tool for teachers. And then as teachers use that tool, they often go to their school district and say, hey, we really want the premium version. And so their school district will purchase the premium version.
That was like, I did a story on Airtable, and their method back in the day was give away for free and have all the individuals at companies use it and then go to the head of IT and be like, hey, we need to get a bigger seat for this. So it's kind of like, you're doing grassroots.
Exactly.
Almost.
Yeah.
Okay. And they pay you like a SaaS subscription, the school districts?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. How much money have you raised?
$6.9 million.
What was that project? Did you go in there and like you're pitching AI big time over and over again?
Yeah. How did I guess one of the things is I don't think I'm a great fundraiser. I think really for us, the compelling vision that a lot of investors really appreciated is kind of, we have this diagnosis about ed tech, which is that since the 80s, like teachers and school districts have purchased more and kind of built on more technologies. And so I don't know if you know what a student information system is, but it's like this, like basically where you track attendance and grades and things like that. And over time, we've just layered more and more technology onto teachers. And so kind of really, we think at Brisk, we really believe that entire suite of tools needs to be refactored or redesigned in the era of AI. And so that vision of basically building a compound startup that can rewrite the fundamental building blocks of the classroom tech stack was something that I think a lot of investors really appreciated, because what I think really happens is all these, basically in order to do innovation in ed tech, you have to really innovate at the margins of the core experience. You add yet another tool for teachers. And so I think what investors really appreciated about our vision was like, how can we redesign this whole classroom ed tech stack in a way that makes sense in the world of AI? And so that seemed to be something that worked well for our fundraise.
All right, cool. So you have over $6 million in fundraising.
Yeah.
You have 1 in 10 teachers in America using Brisk. What are you focused on now? Like, what is your aim? What is your mission for the next year?
Yeah, so one thing that has been really interesting to see over the course of the last 3 years is how teachers' own perceptions and attitudes about AI have shifted. So when we started Brisk, the attention was completely on AI detection. I think you mentioned students using AI to potentially cheat. And so that was actually one of the tools we first started with. And then over the course of the last academic year, we saw a lot of teachers start to explore AI to do things like grading and lesson planning, to be able to do to streamline and speed up tasks that they're doing. And now what we're seeing in this new school year is, teachers really wondering, how can I give my students AI experiences that will prepare them for the future so that when they graduate, they understand how to use these tools in a sound way, in a safe way, but also ways in which that can promote their learning and own productivity. And so just last week, we actually launched a tool called Boost, which is our student-facing tool. And so that gives teachers the ability to take something that they're looking at, say a slide presentation or a YouTube video or an online textbook, and create an AI chatbot that's based on that specific content and share it with students. And students basically have to progress through learning objectives. And so we're really going to be focused on how we can build a tool for students that is able to kind of really almost be like that personalized tutor to really support them when they get stuck. Often, I don't know if this was you in the classroom when you were a kid, but if you're at the back of the class, you often you're either not engaged with the content because it's either too hard or too easy, or it just doesn't feel relevant.
Dude, how'd you know? You know me, man.
I think we all, in some ways, had like that type of experience in one way or the other, whether it was in high school or college. And so I think one of the real big potentials with AI is really to meet students where they're at, so that every student at the end of the class gets the content and gets the skills they need, but their journeys might look different. And so I think with Boost, we're really excited to be able to support students.
How many employees do you have?
17.
Gotcha. And how does that break down between sales, engineering, product?
I would say we have 3 big functions, and I think they're split pretty evenly. So product, which is like engineering and design, marketing, and sales.
Which language model have you built your AI on top of?
Yeah, so we used a lot of the models that are out there. Basically, we found that different models are good at different tasks, and so we try to leverage them when possible.
Okay, very cool. What is your prediction in the next year or two with AI? I mean, obviously, you're building the software, applying it to education. Like, the AI spectrum is everything from this is overhyped to like the Terminator is going to come and kill us all. Where do you fall in AI, and like what big changes do you expect to happen, or no change?
Yeah, I feel like I watched the podcast Hard Fork, and they always ask, what's your P-doom, or like, are you a boomer or a doomer in terms of like how likely is AI going to shift things?
Boomer or doomer, I like that. Okay.
But I think I'm probably right around the middle. I don't have a strong perspective. I think often what we're going to see is like there was this whole excitement around just ChatGPT and like some of the obvious use cases, and I think what we're going to see over time is that we'll get more specific about specific domains like education, where you'll learn that it's really good at this specific task. And so I think there's a long tail of discovery around what AI will be good at. I'm not smart enough, I think, to have like a perspective on AGI and things like that.
And for people who are in education now or want to get into education, with all this change happening, what advice would you have for them, or how do you see the role of teacher changing in this age of AI?
Yeah, so I'll answer the second question first, which is I think teaching is going to become a lot more human. I think we often think about AI as like a Terminator, but really what I think we're seeing in the classroom, particularly with Brisk, is teachers are able to go back to their students to spend more time in front of their students rather than behind a computer. And so our vision is if we can speed up the things that teachers are doing on their computers, they can actually spend more time with their students.
What are your bold predictions about the education world in the next couple of years?
I think what's really interesting is, I don't know if you've been following the phone bans, but a lot of states are implementing phone bans where students aren't able to use phones in the class.
Yeah, they put them in bags. Right?
Yeah.
It's like a Dave Chappelle show. They take the phones, put them in bags until the end of school, and then they give them back to them.
Yeah, and so I think what we're going to see is like a maturing of our own perspectives around technology in the classroom, particularly with AI. I think a lot of the ed tech that was introduced in the classroom during the pandemic was out of necessity. And I think we're going to have like a real realization about what is the role of technology in the classroom and what is not the role of technology in the classroom. And so I'm excited to see where that goes, because I think it is important to try to understand what are the things that should not have a technological angle.
Are you pro phone ban?
I don't have a strong perspective. I would ask teachers what, in their specific classes, what would work for them.
Thanks, Arman. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Thanks.